Hi, this is Randee Dawn from Gold Derby here with Gia Coppola, director of The Last Showgirl, which stars Pamela Anderson as a Las Vegas performer whose old-fashioned show is closing after 30 years, leaving her to face an uncertain future. Now, Gia, this is your third film. What made you want to tell the story of The Last Showgirl?
I've always been fascinated with Las Vegas. I used to drive cross country when I went to college in upstate New York, and I would stop in Vegas and just wonder kind of what it was like to live there. Who are the people that kind of make this magical illusion come to life? And that sort of day-to-day routine. So that's always been staying with me for like over 10 years now, but I've never really found a story that felt right. And I really wanted to make a movie in an intimate fashion so I could keep my creative autonomy. And when I came across Kate Gerston's play, I thought the play format would be really conducive to a small movie just because you have limited locations and less characters. But I was really struck with how well it depicted that day-to-day life for what it must be that like to live there. And it was a mother-daughter story, and I really relate to a mother-daughter story. I was raised by a single mom. I became a mother myself. And to get to learn more about the world of the Las Vegas Showgirl, which is the icon for Las Vegas, yet there are no more of these shows that exist. And the level of production value that went into those, it was just a real art form. And I could see so much of this sort of bigger metaphor of our culture sort of discarding things and out with the old and with the new. And the Las Vegas landscape was really kind of also showing this with the demolishing the Tropicana and then the Sphere, and the analog versus the digital was becoming a real fascination of mine as well.
Right, yeah, one of these days we're going to end up seeing the sphere being demolished, and I will not necessarily be
In exchange for what, I wonder.
sorry. Exactly. So the shoot was really fast. Is 18 days accurate?
Yeah, 18
Okay.
days. Mhm.
So how did you manage to get everything done so fast?
I really attribute it to having a great script that everyone was invested in, and everyone investing in Pamela. Everyone was really excited about her and the story. And so it really felt like a team effort. People were coming in together for right reasons, wearing many different hats. Jamie was moving gears sometimes. She always showed up on time, stayed in between scenes, and that really set the tone for teamwork. And it didn't, even though it was a fast shoot, it felt a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can see that in such a short amount of time. There's just no time to
Yeah, there's a blessing
dally.
in moving fast in that you don't have time to overthink things.
Right. So casting Pamela obviously makes a statement. She's clearly up to the task. It's not like this is a stunt. But like, what made you choose her for this part?
I couldn't really visualize anyone for the role of Shelley. I mean, this whole film was interesting in that I wasn't ever drawing from other movies. Like I would draw from photography or from documentary or just really being in Vegas. And then so with Shelley, I couldn't really place anyone that felt right. And I would envision like a Marilyn Monroe, past artists that were no longer around. And then I came across her documentary, and I was just really struck with that no one else could play this role of Shelley other than Pamela. Um, of course, there's a lot of similarities in her life, but I also saw enough differences that it would be really enticing for her as an actress. And I could see that this was a woman who was really brave and authentic and daring. She wasn't wearing many makeup in her documentary, but she also is a woman that is really creative and as a poet, and her writing's beautiful, and she's really knowledgeable of classical movies and everything. That she just felt like a wealth of life that was exuding a path that would transcend into a character.
Right. And you seem to have leaped on something that also Pam was referring to in public, which is showing the sort of real natural look of people. And your actors are really shown in close-ups as sort of real people without tons of non-stage makeup to hide their age or their imperfections. But also actors can be so sensitive about how they appear on camera. How
Yeah.
did you earn their trust?
Oh, well, it was really important to me to have that rawness in this film. Um, and I feel like because Pamela was such a champion of taking that path, that everyone was willing to sort of follow her lead. And I'm so grateful that she trusted me, and because I trusted her, that I think all of us kind of trusting each other, um, was able to kind of make that happen.
Okay. the the subject the subjects, I mean, showgirls, Vegas, it made me think that it's really all about glamour and holding on to glamour, but like glamour is kind of a facade. I mean, it's a bit of magic in some literal senses too. And you're interested obviously in portraying this real human, often unglamorous life behind the facade. So
Yeah.
what's the message or the emotion that maybe you wanted people to take away from the film?
I think there's so much of nostalgia in this movie and sort of the appreciation of past traditions and art forms, and seeing how culture kind of is so quick to discard in replace for um, more consumerist benefits or over sexualized products. And I just feel like there's a way to um forge a path that combines both worlds, where both can exist at the same time, of finding a modern take with emboldening the past. And um and it's so much about, the family and the family you create in your work environment, and just seeing this sort of societal um issues that are up against women and mothers, working mothers, that I was really able to experience firsthand, and also just relate to with all these other women. There's so many elements to this that I want people to take away. I mean, there's also just being authentic to who you are and what you want and you believe. Um, Shelley will be who she is no matter what, and she's owning that.
Right. And you've made a reference once or twice already about the idea of we're quick to throw away the past, how we don't necessarily revere the things that have come before and we just get rid of them. But is there also a way in which we can get stuck in the past by revering too much of everything so that there's no room for the new things to come in?
100%. That's why I feel like there should be a balance of taking and learning from of the past, but also finding ways to move forward and blend the two ideas together.
Right, right. So this is called The Last Showgirl. Do you think, I mean, literally, I'm sure it refers to Shelley, but do you think it really only refers to Shelley? Or is it more of this concept of something bigger that, as you say, we're losing as the world moves on?
Well, it's been really interesting how many people from other industries have come up to me and say how they relate to this story. And again, I think it goes back to this analog versus the digital, and how, humans are being replaced by robots. And I feel um, that it can be relatable in that way.
um, so you grew up around film sets, particularly as I've read your Aunt Sophia's. What did you learn there? What did you learn from her about making movies?
See with Sophia that she's really um, someone that makes her movies that are true to who her disposition is. And I think that was really um, powerful to see, that you don't have to be this larger than life figure that my grandfather sort of can impose sometimes, that you can be what feels comfortable to you and still get your vision across, and work in a way that feels conducive to that vision. Um, and with my grandfather, I see how much of a risk taker he is in every aspect of his life. And that's always been sort of something that I've been around my whole life. And just his stories and his philosophy, and the way he can make anything be tangible. He's completely fearless.
Right. Do you think that you want to stick around doing indie or smaller films, or is it kind of your dream at one point to have this multi-million dollar extravaganza?
I don't know. I just want to be able to keep creative autonomy. Uh, but if the story is compelling enough, and I feel like, I don't want to make movies for movie's sake. I want to make movies that I feel like emotionally connected to. Um, so we'll see.
Okay. This is also the first of your films that you didn't write the script for. How did that change the experience for you?
It was liberating. It was really nice to work with Kate, and collaborate and keep the discussion open. And it wasn't as lonely that sometimes writing can be. And that's a great experience too. It's very fulfilling to try to get, your words right and figure out what the story wants to be. But I really enjoyed working with Kate.
So you're one of the directors who actually allows the writer to be on the set, because I keep on hearing writers are sort of shooed away from the set as soon as possible.
Yeah, I enjoyed having her around. It was nice to have someone to turn to, um, in moments of just wanting to get a second opinion. But with this movie too, I also, didn't have Video Village. I only had a clamshell monitor that I was really up and close with the actors. There was no playback. And so that really allowed for me to trust myself and make sure that I could only hear myself and my ideas.
Right. So one more question for you. What's the best piece of advice that you ever got about making movies or working with actors?
Um, well, be on time. It's important. Um, I think what's coming off the top of my head is when everyone's afraid. It's a lot of pressure, lots at stake. So to just have compassion and be gentle, because uh it can be scary. And so to kind of recognize when those moments of like, oh, maybe this is because I'm afraid or they're afraid.
Understood. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you have a fantastic awards season.
Thank you so much for having me.